let's talk about Mr. Trump and that debate that some, I guess, are excited for. Chris Christie seems to be foaming at the mouth. Donald Trump will skip it, and he teases skipping others as well. Okay. Let's look at it. Trump confirmed Sunday he will not participate in the first Republican primary debate this week, stating that the public already knows who I am. Never a truer word spoken. Okay. Trump wrote on his social media platform, "I will therefore not be doing the debate." All caps, that said. Okay. He wants you to know he's shouting that proudly, but it's really about insecurity. Okay. He refers to a new CBS poll just out, has him leading by legendary numbers. Okay. Sanctimonious, he calls him by name. And look who's in third, according to the CBS poll. Per CNN, it was not immediately clear whether Trump meant he will sit out all currently scheduled debates. There is a second GOP primary debate set for September, or any and all future debates. Trump advisor told CNN that the former president could still decide to participate in a later primary debate, despite his post. So you see, there it is again. He is a former president and his own apparent spokesperson, but then people like kind of just come behind him real quick, like little rats looking for cheese, and they say, "Oh no, he didn't mean that," and they kind of explain it away. And he doesn't want to debate, and he doesn't want to. Christie can probably insult with the best of them, Mayor, and that's probably who he's afraid of. He knows that the governor down there in the state known as Florida will probably fall flat because he has some strange social things going on with him. He lacks social cues, but Christie he can be nasty. Okay, remember Bridgegate and all that stuff, Mayor?
It's real. I mean, I think from democracy standpoint, this is absolutely disgusting. If I was managing Donald Trump, this is probably the exact advice I would give him, though, because he is dumb. I'm not being coy. He's dumb. He will be on stage with some people that could actually challenge him up. And when forced to say something, Chris Christie's not going to let Donald Trump overtalk him. He's not going to be bullied by Trump on the stage. And also, Trump has 4 years of what Christie does. Christie's team is playing the political long game here, and it's a smart one. Donald Trump is solid with 37% of Republicans. They sit with him over and over. But that also means that a majority of Republicans are willing to listen or entertain something else. That base is not the majority. And if you are able to galvanize the base, and a debate would be a wonderful place to do it. And Trump understands that he's not going to be up there. He's a showman in everything. And if nothing else, and he understands that being on stage with even DeSantis could give them credibility that he's not willing to give off. So he'll sit back and he'll do show on a failed platform, i.e. Twitter or whatever it's called now, by a failed reporter, Tucker Carlson, fired, with a failed president, i.e. himself. And out of that failure, he'll try to make noise and he'll try to suck the air out of the room by doing this conversation the next day.
I think you summed it up perfectly. You've told us what the future holds. And it could very well be, as they wait for Trump to crumble, if it's going to happen before Election Day, could end up President Chris Christie. Trump has told a number of allies he does not want to debate at the Reagan Library. Why? Doesn't want to travel? What could it be? He complained in private conversations that he has never been invited to speak at the venue, blaming in part the chairman of the board of trustees, Fred Ryan. Ryan was the chief executive officer of the Washington Post. You're going to blame that on one guy? This one guy is responsible for you not being. You don't have thoughtful remarks. You just ramble on and talk about you. He probably wouldn't talk about the former president or anything. I'm not sure why they didn't ask him. Who knows? But let's give you the latest CBS poll numbers. They do show the following for the GOP nomination. And you see it there. Nikki Haley, despite talking about how President Biden is on his last leg and won't survive a second term, is only at 2%. Chris Christie, we'll see. Mr. Scott, Senator, South Carolina, the one who would not condemn Donald Trump's actions on January 6th, 3%. And the former vice president, who is not a hero, who stood by and behind Donald Trump every step of the way, all that name recognition. And then people were shouting, hang Mike Pence is sitting at 5%. And look who's in the middle, Mayor. It to me means that people want more of this rhetoric, this nasty divide, racism, anti-Muslim, whatever you want to call it. Look who's in the middle on the top there, Mayor. What do you make of it? Because he's surging right now, believe it or not.
Listen, I think it's I think it absolutely plays into what we see, what we expect from the Republican Party, a party with no platform. Actually, Donald Trump had no platform when he ran, and we're seeing now a continuation of that, where you have people like Ramaswamy who can be nothing except for racist, even talking about immigrants, and that's his family story in a way that makes no sense, that does not ring true to what the American dream is. And I think this party is willing to entertain a minority, a person of color, if you believe what we believe, right? Tim Scott cries about DeSantis were not heard. They didn't get major airway on Republican airwaves, right? His critiques of DeSantis, but Ramaswamy being extremely racist, he's doing all the media around. He's making space. They're making space for his voice to be heard because he sounds just like whiteness.
Yeah.
That's what the platform is, and it's so scary that you see him in Iowa singing Eminem, reminding these people how much they love Eminem music, but he's not saying what Eminem policies is and what Eminem believes about Donald Trump. He's afraid to say what Eminem said about Donald Trump, and how Eminem, who comes from that class of poor and middle class working white families who Donald Trump does not care about. Eminem says that out loud to white people, not as a talking down to them and saying, I'm relatable to what you've been through or are going through. Donald Trump is not, and you're being duped.
Yep. Detroit is no joke, and Eminem doesn't want you using his music. You understand? That's going to be taken care of as well. That will be taken care of. It just makes me think, what does this say? I think it says less about the GOP and the lack of integrity than it does about Americans who are still consuming this. Sizable 3/4 of Trump's voters include those who show support for his legal troubles as one rationale, among others, for considering him in the first place. Information in the indictments doesn't have an impact, apparently, in part because they generally believe it's Trump who tells them the truth. 71% of voters believe him over their own family and friends. I don't have a problem with getting a smaller turkey for Thanksgiving if that's who's in the family. Maybe more Americans need to think about that.